Good evening, everybody. Steve Westman, Fun Show, a live deep dive into the Beatles stereo boxes. Welcome. I'm going to bring on Patrick pbthal. He's going to discuss all of the different stereo boxes that are out there. We're going to do a blind shootout. We did a blind shootout. You guys will see the poll right away, but I want to bring in Patrick here, talk about that. Patrick,
Hello.
welcome. Welcome,
Hi.
welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's going to be fun.
This is going to be fun, and I wanted to really thank you today. And if the viewers don't know Patrick pbthal, here's his YouTube channel. Please subscribe to it. You do a lot of great shootouts, and I guess you do some needle drops as well and that type of thing. So it's some
I have
fun
been known to
stuff
do a
there.
needle drop or two.
A few of those before, so in your days. So no, thank you. And I know you and I have been you've been on the roundtable before, and I've been chatting about stereo boxes. I mean, there's big, I don't know if it's big controversy, but a lot of people, a lot of the forums are really bashing the 2009 or the 2000, well, this remastered 2009 stereo Beatles box or the vinyl 2012 stereo Beatles box, and really bashing it. And so we thought, okay, let's do something fun. Let's talk about the stereo boxes. And then you're like, well, let me do this. We take it one step further. Let's put 4 samples into a poll, which I did. If you guys haven't already, at the top of the comments, you'll see a poll, and I'll put it up as well. You'll see that right there, and you can click on that HTTPS link there, and it goes to the 4 samples, and you'll download them, listen to each one. The song is No Reply, and you can basically then use the poll on my either here, or there's I guess on my community part
It's
of
on
my
the community page.
It's on the community page of my channel. Thank you. So you can do it there. So we should probably, just before we start, we did and I want to show that, Patrick. Here it is here. This is the poll we're talking about. So we're going to do a blind shootout today of the song No Reply off of, 3 are off of the Beatles boxes we're going to talk about today. So the 2012 vinyl remaster, the solid state blue box, the UK blue box, 1978 collection, correct? And the 1982 MoFi collection, as well as we're comparing it to the UK tube cut. So we didn't obviously tell you which ones are which. That's why they're just say samples A through D, and we're going to reveal today which ones are which. So that's going to be fun as well. But before we get started, again, you can see behind me, I brought today the Mobile Fidelity Beatles, one of the Beatles albums. Here's off of my 1982 collection. This is with the Beatles. Of course, the mono box. I got mono CDs, and this is my 2009 CD remastered as well. But I wanted to really run down a couple of things. First of all, like the MoFi 1982 collection, it was obviously half-speed cut by Stan Ricker, less Sgt. Pepper, which was cut by Jack Hunt, just so everyone knows. And there was no rarities. The Rarities album was not in this collection, but they did include Magical Mystery Tour. Just a little fun fact there. And I will tell people that there are viewers out there, or some in the forum, that actually own a test pressing of the Mobile Fidelity Rarities. So at some point they decided they at least put it down on vinyl or cut it. There it is. Which one's that?
Beatles for sale.
Yeah, so I got this is with the Beatles here, but so they actually have a test pressing of Rarities, Patrick. Mobile Fidelity does, and for whatever reason, they didn't include it in the box. They included Magical Mystery Tour.
They've done that a few times. They did that with Journey Frontiers as well.
Yeah, so I've a few of my viewers and people that I've been speaking to of years. They have the test pressing of Rarities that Mobile Fidelity did. They also have a test pressing of the UHQ. I think it's a UHQR version of, I want to say, either Rubber Soul or Revolver, that they sort of did a test pressing of as well. So that's.
I've had the Pepper UHQR, but I've never heard of the Rubber Soul.
Yeah, and that's the difference, right? Because Pepper was cut by cut by Stan Ricker for the UHQR, and
but Jack Hunt for the.
Yeah,
and Jack Hunt did some great work with Super Disc and Direct Disc Labs.
So Jack did some great. Yeah, he did. They had Elton John that I showed not long ago. That was a Super Disc, incredible.
He did Layla. He did.
That's right. And that's not Nautilus, if everyone knows. There's a big difference. There's Direct Disc Labs, which is what Jack Hunt was part of. Now, here's the thing. One of the getting into the more into the Beatles, but we're talking about Sgt. Pepper. One of the, I guess, most sought after Sgt. Pepper albums is actually cut by Jack Hunt at full speed, and it was the Nimbus cut.
Yep, that's the one. That's the one that I've never had in my possession. I've had the Audio 5 in my possession. But I've never had the Nimbus in my possession.
I have the Audio 5 files that someone basically gave me, which I think sound great. But yeah,
they're probably mine. They're probably.
Oh my God, that would be funny if they were. So let's get into it. So we're going to be comparing and talking about the MoFi 82 collection, like I mentioned, the solid state UK Blue Box collection, and of course the 2012 remastered vinyl collection. And in our poll, in our blind test, we also put in the UK tube cut as well. So we know which samples are which. We'll get into that as well. But first of all, the Blue Box. Now, there's interesting. It was an American reissue by Capitol Records, and it contained the British pressings of the same 12 original albums, but the American box came with the rarities pressing, just so everyone knows the difference. And then basically from there, I think it was the English language, She Loves You and I Want to Hold Your Hand, were in the American box, where the UK box had the German versions of that song, if I'm not mistaken. And then the American edition of the box set was only limited to 3,000 numbered copies, which I did not know until I looked this up. I did not know it was that rare. Did you know that?
I think I'd have to. I swear to God, I think I've seen a U.S. box that was in the 4,000s, but I could be wrong.
You know what? Yeah. So there's my studying of this or research 3,000 number boxes. So when you read all these things in the forum, you always hear about the UK Blue Box, and that's the reason, because the 3,000 is very rare in the States. So that's why the British box became popular in the U.S. because it was so, the American box.
But they also made
rare.
Other boxes. Like Australia had their own box with
That's
their own
right.
covers.
Yeah.
The Dutch had their own box.
Yep.
There were several other versions of the box, and the Japanese had their own boxes. I've had the Japanese box. It does not sound good. Just saying,
okay.
for my opinion, the Japanese box does not sound good.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
And I mean, I think you've been doing this for many, many years. I mean, you started during, you really started comparing these files during the whole, I mean, really at the beginning, 20 plus years ago, when was it Napster? Is that when you really started out on your quest here for ripping files and stuff like that?
No, probably about 15 years.
It's a long time. So I really, and again, I thank you for coming on today, because this is going to be fun. And we did a lot of deep diving today on this, and I think everyone will be really excited to see the results of this. But okay, so the Blue Box, that's the Blue Box 78 Blue Box. I've talked about the MoFi. Now the 2009 remaster, that's behind me, the CD, but we are actually comparing it to 2012 vinyl remaster, which everyone needs to know. And you can clear this up. It's two different remasters, right? It wasn't the same remaster that they used for 2009 to cut the 2012 stereo vinyl, correct?
My understanding is Sean McGee used the unlimited 24-bit 192 kilohertz files to cut the 2012 box set, as opposed to the 16-bit 44.1 kilohertz final master they made for that, or the 24-bit they had for the little thumbnail stick that you could get, which doesn't sound bad, by the way. But and then they took those files and they did some sibilance checking in a digital workstation, and he tweaked a few frequencies, for intergroove distortion. And his biggest challenge, from what I read, was making the lock groove for Sgt. Pepper. That was his biggest challenge. He said he spent a whole day on that. He said he's probably heard that the lock groove of Sgt. Pepper more than any song he's ever heard in his life, because he said he spent an entire day on that thing. So, and also one more thing for the 2012 box is that they did use the George Martin remixes for Rubber Soul and Help.
And there's a 2012 box right there that we're talking about today. So there you go. Yeah. So
here's the actual record out of there.
Let me get to that then. So the 2009 remaster, the one that I have behind me, just so everyone knows, the first four albums, like Please Please Me, With the Beatles, A Hard Day's Night, and The Beatles for Sale, they made their first CD stereo debut in that box in 2009. They had never been released in stereo before that time period, apparently. And then Help and Rubber Soul used the remixes prepared by George Martin for the original 1987 CDs. I remember when those came out, because I mean, being a big Beatles fan, and I was really into CDs at that point, 87. I bought all of them, and I never was that impressed with the 87 CDs that Martin put out. What were your thoughts on those ones?
I haven't listened to those in so long. I couldn't even tell you what my thoughts were on those, honestly.
I pulled them out not too long ago. They just don't do it for me. I don't know, but maybe I need to do a blind test like we did today to surprise me. So those, and then the original 65 stereo mixes were released on the Beatles in mono basically. So they're all over the place with this stuff. And then Magical Mystery Tour is presented in the sequence of the artwork of its North American Capitol record in this box, okay, opposed to the UK, and you have it there, the 6-song EP. Put that one up. Boom.
It's a SMMT-1. That means stereo. The mono is, you take out it just says MMT-1. These do not sound that great either, by the way.
Really? Okay. So here's a fun fact. So no stereo mixes exist for the 1963 single She Loves You. Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
And the flip side on that was I'll Get You, or the 1962 single Love Me Do, and it's flip side P.S. I Love You. There's no stereo mixes that exist for those 4 songs. So here's what I learned. So in Abbey Road Studios prior to '63, they used to wipe and reuse the master tapes once they had been mixed down to mono for single release. So for this reason, there was never any true stereo mixes of Love Me Do, P.S. I Love You, apparently. Although the practice has stopped by the time they released She Loves You, although it is possible the master tapes were in EMI's possession in January '64. So again, who knows, right? Trying to track all these down. But so She Loves You have been created basically been created unofficial stereo versions using the German version of the song. I'm not going to butcher it and say it in German. That's for sure. I'm not going to embarrass myself. But yeah, so that's part of the remasters. So also too, of course, with the 2009 remaster, 2012, there's no rarities. So in place of that rarities album is the past masters, correct?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, and so there's a single version of Love Me Do with Ringo Starr on drums, but at some point, even the mixed down mono tape of the version of the song was lost, apparently, and that's true. If you look behind me, even the Beatles in mono, when I talked to Sean McGee on my channel a while back, he even said that was the only song that they did not cut directly from analog tape. They had to use, I think it was even a needle drop from Australia or something like that. So that was the only song that was not cut direct analog. That was a digital source. They couldn't find the actual song, which is interesting. So they feel that Love Me Do could have been intentionally destroyed to alleviate possible confusion between the more common versions, apparently. Again, rumors, right? Who knows? So 2 other songs in the Beatles catalogs, which also appear in mono on the stereo CDs, are Only a Northern Song and You Know My Name, Look Up My Number. Neither of these songs received stereo mixes at the time they were recorded. I did not know that. Although other songs that were similarly not mixed into stereo during the Beatles' recording lifetime are not excluded from the set. The stereo mixes of Strawberry Fields Forever, Penny Lane, and Baby You're a Rich Man, all made in '71. The stereo mix of Yes It Is, that was given a very limited UK release in '86, apparently on a mail order cassette promotion that Apple and the Beatles did not authorize, and was commercially released in 1988 on the Past Masters. And the 2000 edit of Day Tripper from Only a Northern. Okay, so I mean, there's and then Only a Northern Song was first mixed into stereo and 5.1 surround, Patrick, for the Yellow Submarine soundtrack.
You can get into the weeds with this stuff, man.
And man, that's talk about Beatles rabbit hole. Talk about getting into rabbit hole of equipment, topping into rabbit hole of different albums. That is crazy to me. So there you go. There's a little bit of fun fact. What I want to show. So again, we're comparing this box here. There it is, 82 Mobile Fidelity box.
That's is that the BC1? Is that what they called it at the time? They called it the BC1. What did they call that?
I can't remember what. Yeah, I don't know if that was what it's. I think it was called. God, I actually wrote it down somewhere. You got me on that.
So
one. I don't know.
One of the really cool things about that box, one of the coolest things for me, because they didn't give you the actual cover though, is that they actually let you, if you look closely, you can see when the tape has been checked out. And
well, put that up so everyone can see that. Hang on.
So you can see, if I didn't get the glare.
I love the coffee stain, right? Like right in the middle of the tape box.
I mean, you can see in 1979 they pulled the tape for a Brazil release. You can see all the different times they pulled this stuff for the release. It's great stuff, man. I mean, it's actually cool as shit. You know that's on. That's the coolest thing about the MoFi box set for me.
And I have this too. And I mean, I'll put this up as well. I don't know if you guys can see this here, but this is from the box Mobile Fidelity box set. This is with the Beatles. And a little fun fact about that in a second. But in '87, they pulled it for Venezuela. In 70, what was it, 1970? It doesn't say. It was pulled again in 70, and another one in 76 with the Beatles. But this one is interesting, Patrick, as this is a rare record if you just got the actual single version, because apparently the I guess the plates broke when they were pressing this with the Beatles way back when, and so there's only something like anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 or so available. That's why it's so expensive on Discogs, if
Oh,
you've ever looked.
okay, cool.
And I did a video on this about a year or two ago, and I should have gone back before I did this. But if you guys go back on my channel, I have one that says with the Beatles and how many were pressed, and I got the actual number from someone at MoFi who actually talked to someone that used to work at MoFi to sort of get me a better idea. I think it was either 3,000 or 7,000, but anyways, it was a small amount. So yeah. So we did a little poll here, and I mean,
36 votes.
We're at 36 votes. So now getting back to it, I know we've had people talk a lot about these 2009 or 2012 Beatles remastered boxes, how crappy they sound. Like, what are your thoughts when you hear that? I mean, where are you at with that?
I really don't listen to the 2009. I just have the stereo box. And one thing when I first heard the stereo box, and I still to this day believe, is that when they cut that, they actually probably got a blue box and listened to it, and that was what they were striving for. Is basically not to mimic them completely, but the general tonality, I think, of the stereo box is right directly a result of them listening to the BC13, and I still feel that way. And I feel that after last night, I recorded all 4 of these songs right after each other. In an hour's time, all 4 got recorded. I am more convinced today than I was yesterday that they used the BC13 to completely as their guide for the stereo box set.
So if viewers don't understand what Patrick's talking about, the BC13 would be this box here. This is the 1978 Beatles collection that came out. There's a UK version and an American version. Today we're comparing the UK, and that would be the solid state version we're comparing, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, it really doesn't. I mean, UK, US, because what they did in the blue box, they just pulled whatever stock they had.
Right. Yeah.
So you could get a tube cut, rubber tube cut revolver in your BC13 box, but mine is pretty much all solid state except for I think one white album. I think one white album is a tube cut, but everything else in my box set is solid state cut, and you can tell that by the matrix numbers. And there's in the Hoffman forums. There's one that lets you know what matrix numbers are tube cut, what matrix numbers are solid state cut. So Steve is still here, I hope. But so maybe I should just keep pontificating about oh, now I'm the boss, says John Bandy. I'm never the boss. Yes.
I lost you there. I don't know what happened. I'm back.
I don't know. Did anybody like? Did we lose me or did we lose Steve? Because I lost Steve. Did anybody hear what I said?
I have no idea what you said, so that was really weird. But yeah, I'm
good because I was talking about your fashion sense. But yeah, so
my fashion sense. I saw just before we move forward, I saw something here by John Bandy. Here it is. Here. So Bandy is asking. So Fremer says those covers all show the same reel. Yes or no? Well, my cover shows with the Beatles because this is with the Beatles.
My cover. This one shows. This one says Beatle for sale. It says Beatle for sale.
So you can see it here. I'll put it right. Yeah. So if you guys can see it.
Yeah.
Can you see that with the Beatles?
Yeah, mine's probably too small, but mine does say Beatle for sale.
So no, it does not. That's definitely. And then I actually had asked Miles Scholl about this as well when he was on. And they definitely used. These are the actual tapes. I mean, there was not just one that they used to, to basically put these onto the album. So not true.
So Darren, I mean, the 2012 box is not my favorite version. My favorite version is the tube cut. That's my favorite version of Rubber Soul. So that's my favorite version.
So let's get into this then, Patrick. I mean, getting back to our poll. Did everyone do the poll? I guess I want to, did you guys get a chance to? I pinned it at the top of the comments as well. So we're going to talk about that now and go into each sample. So
yeah, we're at 36 votes.
we're at 36 votes, and I put it up here. I'm just looking for it right now. When I put this up, it was at 28 votes. So let's look at this. So sample A had how many votes here? 61%. Sample B 7%, 7%. Sample C, sample D, what does that say? 20 something percent. So definitely, when I put this up before we went on live, sample A was the winner. So I guess if you guys haven't already voted, please do. But we definitely want to talk about what you guys heard today. So let's get into that, Patrick.
What do you want me to reveal what's what, or do you want to just
Well, I don't know what you can do. You want to do the reveal right now or wait till more people have voted?
Well, I mean, we got 36. I don't think we're going to get a ton more votes probably, and they'd have to listen 4 times at 3 minutes a shot. So
true. Okay, so let's just reveal. Here's the poll.
So right now the poll is at I have the poll here, I'll go from last to first. So in last place is sample C with 6% of the vote. So I have a text file that has the shootout key, so I know what's what. Sample B to what? Sample C is the BC13 solid state cut. Believe it or not, that got the least amount of votes. The next up is sample B with 14% of the vote. Sample B is the Mobile Fidelity box.
Wow. Okay, you know what? I listened to that. I listened to this all 3 times in a row. Every single time sample B came out, I listened to these headphones here. Sample B came out on top. I love the clarity of John's voice. I love the sound of the acoustic guitar. And in all 3 of what I was hearing is the real smashing of Ringo's cymbals were more detailed than any of the other 3 samples that you sent. That was what I heard.
Okay, so that leaves us with sample D and sample A, which means we have the tube cut and we have the often hated 2012 vinyl box set. So at number 3, sample D at 22% is the original UK tube cut pressing of Beatles for Sale.
So what is that? What?
That with 58% of the vote, number 1 in your hearts and your ears is the 2012.
Let me put
Beatles
it up.
Stereo vinyl box set.
Yes. There you go. And this is a blind shootout. This is my dream come true. No predetermined bias. No one knew any of this stuff. And also and then we should also, because this is like being back in elementary school doing science projects. Now talk about level matching so viewers understand what that means. So,
well, I'll start from this. So I literally recorded these, like I said, within the same hour. They were on the same equipment in the same day, the same hour. I did not do anything to them. I cut them and then I level matched them. Where I took I went with the original first and did normalized it to -1 dB, and then I took a amplitude statistics on it for RMS level. And wrote those down. It was like 18.6 for the left channel, 18.9 for the right channel. I went to each of the other files and matched that level to sample D, so they're all the same volume level, and that's all I did to them. That's it. And so they all have the same RMS total level value, and so after that, I let people listen and choose for themselves. There's a lot to be said for the stereo box set. It's got more bass. It's got a lot of clarity. And it's, like I said, it's not my favorite. I do like the tube cut. I've always liked the tube cut. But my second favorite would definitely be the 2012 box set for Beatles for Sale. I have not gone through the whole thing and done this for the whole box. But just for this, for Beatles for Sale, that's where I sit.
But I like the fact that I didn't know you're going to pick No Reply. And I think that's a really good song to actually use in a blind shootout because it really gets to John's vocals. You really hear them clear. And of course, the acoustic guitar. So I think that was a really smart one to use because you can't get too mixed up with all the different instruments that way as well. So, and I really felt when I was listening to sample D, and I think that was the original tube cut, right?
Yes.
That sounded really soft.
But I like the thickness of it. So I mean, and the finger clicks to me on that just I mean, they're different for me. So I like the finger snapping.
So if anyone's just joining now, from our poll that we did, our live shootout of No Reply by the Beatles, we did the 2012 vinyl remastered box. That was sample A. Sample B was the MoFi box of No Reply. Sample C was the BC13 solid state collection, and sample D was the UK tube cut, correct?
Yes.
So everyone's correct. Okay. So, and then we now know, and then we've heard, so I've read so many things about people just poo-pooing over the 2012 remastered. That one by far has come out on top. Like, what are we at? 31 people. How many voted for
36 people.
36 now. People. Okay. What are we at?
I could extrapolate it, and then we're still at 36. 58% preferred the 2012 box set. More than half.
And that's a blind shootout.
So basically 20 people out of 36 preferred the 2012 box set.
I bet you, and here's the thing, goes back to I've done these videos before, predetermined bias or perceived bias. Not knowing what you're listening to, I think that really helps determine it, and is a really smart way to do actual shootouts. Otherwise, you bring in you buy a $150 UHQR box because you spend $150 on it. You're going to think, hey, this has to sound the best. So in your head, you're already thinking that when you put it on the turntables. So this way, I had no idea. I actually really thought when I picked sample B, like I said, I could not believe that was MoFi. I actually thought that was probably the original, the UK the solid state, or the tube cut, I thought. That's what I thought, but wow.
You just never know. You just never, ever know.
But there's, if you guys go back and listen to it again, there's definitely here differences in every single sample. There's definite differences. Now for me, and everyone's hearing's different, I really heard more of Ringo's cymbals on my MoFi sample than the other three. That's what I heard. And I went back just before we got on air. I went back again to make sure I wasn't hearing something I shouldn't. And I definitely, me personally, have heard that.
So if you want to do something interesting, inside the folder where you downloaded the files, there's some waveforms. And if you go grab waveform of sample C, which is the BC13, and grab the sample A inverted.
Hang on. I don't have it. So let's go back. This is sample A and this is sample C. So let's do sample A. So we're looking at the 2012.
That's the 2012, yeah.
Okay, and this is sample C, which is the
BC13.
So look at the similarities.
But if you invert it, so there's an inverted one for sample A, where the stuff we're all like at about the one, I can tell. But if you look at the inverted one, it looks almost identical to the BC13, which is why I think that they really, really listened to the BC13 box to get a feel for what the tonality was for the box set. I mean, it really is so similar. If you look at the inverted one, the phase is definitely inverted on one of them. So the 2012 box set, I think the phase was out of phase, not out of phase, but the phase was inverted whenever they cut it. So that's my opinion.
So this is the MoFi waveforms here, like, and this is the one that I like the best. What are we seeing here on each channel?
Well, it looks just at first glance that things are a little bit tighter on the left channel, and that's just my first impression looking at it. But I'm not I don't want to judge. But by waveform, I'm not a waveform jockey, so
But maybe that's, and again, I like sample B. Maybe that was what I enjoyed about it. It was a lot tighter. I mean and that's why I'm seeing that now from looking at it and then listening to it. I see that, and you compare it to going back to the remastered 2012. Look at that, a little bit more wide open then.
Yeah.
And then we can't forget about this guy here. This is the UK. This is the tube cut.
That's the tube cut. So.
Yeah.
And that's all. And that's not quite as open as well.
Although Patrick, that's a lot similar. Somewhat similar to the remastered right there. If you look at this is the remastered 2012. This is the UK tube cut. You look at the bottom channel there, right in the middle. A lot of similarities, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Way more than this one. This is my MoFi. So I found that a very interesting exercise.
John, I think it has inverted phase. If I look at the inverted one compared to the, and then compare it to the BC13, they look almost identical. When it's not inverted, they still look close, but it really looks identical when you invert the phase. If you go look at it, just go download the sample A inverted and the BC and the sample C and look at them side by side, and you'll go, oh, okay.
Jason here, he says the MoFi box set has distinct stereo separation with added reverb to create the illusion of depth. I like the Stan Ricker, but he's a tricky guy. I think Stan Ricker, that was his style. It wasn't Stan Ricker, and this is the thing, wasn't Stan Ricker doing the, basically
he was told to do
he
that.
was told by MoFi to do them. So it's not like Stan was going there. I want to, MoFi wanted that. They wanted that depth. They wanted that reverb. They wanted to sound a certain way. And yeah, definitely has, if you listen to all of Ricker's stuff, like I love his old stuff, like what do I have? The Bowie and the Steve Miller and the Led Zeppelin too. I like the way those sound, and those are the Smiley EQs. I don't know. I'm a big fan, Patrick, of the Smiley EQs. I'm sorry, but I actually don't mind them.
Well, I mean, when I was in high school and college, I remember everyone had an equalizer, and they all looked like a gull wing. Everybody would scoop the mids and boost the. I mean, that was the thing back then. But I mean, I outgrew that myself. Yeah.
But I think because I've had the MFSLs for so many years, and I've it's sort of like the ones that I've really grown up listening to, and it's kind of funny now that was the one that I picked, not knowing that it was MoFi. So I don't know if it was something that I picked up, but I don't know. Interesting. That's very interesting. But yeah,
that's the fun part of doing these things, is like, that's the fun part about it. You just don't know.
That's funny. So now the 2012 Beatles for Sale will sell out by the end of the week and go for big bucks at eBay. Thanks a lot, huh? These damn YouTubers.
So I mean, every album should be taken on a case-by-case basis. This is just the feeling for Beatles for Sale. So right. I mean, I haven't listened to the box set, but I've heard that that like Abbey Road's not great sounding on the stereo, and I haven't listened to it in so long.
Yeah.
I can't make a comment, but but for Beatles for Sale, I would say that they got it right on the box set.
And you've done, I mean, this is the thing too. You've done a few other blind shootouts, and we really, there's a lot of people that talk negatively about Miles Scholl, who will be on my channel next week. Today he'll be live. You guys can ask him some questions. And, a lot of people don't like some of Miles Scholl's work, but if you put it through a blind shootout, whole different game, right?
Yes. I mean, when I did Bob Marley Exodus, I mean, Miles Abbey Road topped the UHQR, the original, the German box set. I mean, that was surprising to me.
Yeah. And so what do you think it is about, people basically getting all over Miles? It's because, it's a digital half-speed cut? I mean, is that because they know that? I don't know.
I mean, some of the stuff he's cut hasn't been great to my ears, but I can say that about every engineer.
Okay.
And I don't think it's the engineer. I think it's the source he's given. I think all these guys, given the right source, could do a phenomenal job. All these guys are good at it. If you give them the right source and and stay out of their way, I think they pretty much all could do a great job. So so speaking of Nick Pandacy's here, he sent me something that Miles cut. I think it's creamed Israeli gears that I didn't know was mono. And it's probably, it is definitely the best mono version of creamed Israeli gears I've ever heard. And anybody else that I know that's ever heard it has said, man, this is phenomenal. That was cut by Miles at half speed at Abbey Road, and it sounds amazing.
And someone asked on one of my shows if Miles is more DSD or PCM, and he's more PCM than DSD. But he did let me know that I think it was the Rolling Stones box that he did was DSD files that he was given to remaster.
Well, because they when they transferred off the tapes, they did all of them to DSD. When they did the archiving of the Rolling Stones tapes, I mean, I think Robert Ludwig mastered them. They cut them all to DSD. That's why. But you can't do a lot of manipulation on DSD like you can with PCM.
No, and that's what he said. Basically, is not a lot. Not you can't work with it very much once it's on DSD. It's pretty much just cut it to a lathe and there it is. That's pretty much it. But if he had a chance to go back, he'd love to redo the Rolling Stones. He told me, because he's got newer equipment.
So Zeusation says something that I hear a lot. So does it matter as long as you're a fan of the music and enjoy the records? Well, here's the thing. If I'm a fan of a piece of music and I love that music, as a fan of that music, I personally would like to hear the very best version of that song, that I can possibly hear. I don't go buy albums because they sound good. I buy albums first because I like the music, and then I want to find the very best sounding version of that because I love the music and I want to hear it in the best way possible. It's not because I don't love the music and I'm just looking for the right sound. I like the music first, then I go chasing the best. That's just, you know, so I hear that all the time. It's just about the music. Well, if all you care about is the music, then go get some MP3s or something, and then you'll be happy, right? You know, I mean, I want the best sounding versions of music that I love.
And your blind shootout that you did of the Exodus blind shootout, Jason was mentioning. Did I put it up here? So it's right here. Marley Exodus was half speed cut by Miles Scholl. It beat out the UHQR in your blind
quite
shootout.
A wide margin.
And this is the thing. So it's perceived bias. That's what I'm getting back to again. If you don't know what you're listening to, you're not probably going to pick the one that you think you like. It doesn't surprise me at all, because I actually listened to the half speed Exodus again that I have. It does sound pretty good. Don't get me wrong.
Why is it trash? I don't understand that. I mean, honestly, obviously people don't think it's trash when they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, more than half the people that listen to these files like the 2012, unless you're thinking that somehow my system makes the 2012 sound better than the OG tube cut, than the MoFi, than the BC13 solid state. So I don't know. So why do people choose that?
What are we at for the poll right now? How many people is it?
I don't think the poll's changed. So
okay.
Let's see.
So basically, yeah, I mean, we did a blind shootout. 2012 remastered came out on top. I got a screenshot of it just before we went on, and
We're still 36. It's still 36 votes, so it's 56%.
Yeah.
Like wanted the 2012, and 6% wanted the original UK solid state. 22% wanted the tube cut, which was my favorite. And sample B got 17%, which is the MoFi, which I personally don't like at all.
I like the MoFi one. That's the thing. And I think that's because I've listened to it for so many years, and I think that's probably why I picked it, even though I didn't know it was the MoFi. I'm actually more shocked than anything else that I picked that one. So I'm sort of proud of myself. I don't know.
I have some of the 95 Beatles Capital ones. Those were the ones that were cut by I think it was Wally Trowgett. And the Let It Be from that, I think I have the Let It Be is the only one that I kept, and that one sounds really good. I thought the Let It Be was very good. You're not a psychiatrist. Well, I don't know, Mike. I mean, all I can do is present. He says, "I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't know why people do the things they do." You know.
No, I don't think none of us do. No, I love blind shootouts, and that way we don't know perceived bias. We don't know what it's going to be.
Mike, you put out there that the 2012 was trash. What is your preferred copy of Beatles for Sale? Stereo, not mono. And actually, it's kind of funny because the stereo Beatles for Sale is my favorite more than the mono, and that's the only really early Beatles that I prefer in stereo than mono. You know,
I have. Here's the thing. I mean, I know Tom Port over at Better Records, and he gave me a few samples of some Beatles stuff when he's on my show a few times. And one of the hot stampers that I have through Better Records is the Beatles for Sale. And the one that I have is the UK, I think it's the 1984-85 pressing, the Parlophone pressing. And I think it sounds really good. And that's the stereo version of the For Sale album.
So I think the ones that came out in the 80s had matrix numbers. They had like extra like -1, -1, -1. They had like extra ones on the end of them. They weren't the typical, stamp ones. I think, because I've had a few of those as well.
Yeah. So the one that I had was considered a hot stamper Beatles for Sale, and I mean, again, I put it on my turntable, and I already knew that it was a hot stamper, so it must sound great. But yeah, it does sound pretty good. But you're asking Mike from the In-Groove which his favorite Beatles for Sale is then? Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's a blind shootout. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting that we all pick, lots pick the remastered. What's this here? I saw something here. Darren Crawford, are Tom Port's choosing's worth the money?
I'm not going to say a word.
Tom's a friend of mine. And I mean, I think basically this, if you want to pay the money, go for it. He has a money back guarantee. That's all I can say. Mike says this, I'm speaking on the box as a whole. BC13 is a better sounding box, he says.
All right, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. It would, like I said, every album's going to be on a case-by-case basis. Like I've heard bad things about Abbey Road and the White Album on the 2012 box set. So mine is pressed at Rainbow. Surprisingly enough, I checked. I'm like going, did I get an optimal press? No, I have the Rainbow press, which is surprising.
So I wonder if that's a difference, being if it was pressed in Germany or not. Would that have made a difference?
I don't know. I mean, I would think that Optimal will do a better job than Rainbow because Rainbow's pretty shitty, you know. So I mean,
Yeah.
but mine doesn't sound. At least my Beatles for Sale did not sound noisy. So, you know.
We'll have to do more of these now. Now, I'm curious to know what the Abbey Road sounds like. We can do some some blinds of the Abbey Road album. Like
I
you
mean,
have
I've had the -2, -1 Abbey Road UK. That's been my favorite forever. So
what's Jason saying? Overall, the 2012 he says sounds muddy. The MoFi box makes me laugh, but if you want to hear Ringo's drums, then let's. Well, I hear Ringo's drums, Jason. I definitely do. I don't think anyone would disagree. I like that. And the BC13 is good for value price. Most can't afford the UK originals. Well, yeah. How much are the?
Well, hang on a second. So I mean, it's not like you don't get UK originals sometimes in the blue box. You may not get a yellow and black Parlophone, but you can get the same stampers as a UK original in the blue box. So it all depends on what box you get. I mean, I've had, like I said, I've had a UK, I've had a US, and it's been a mix and match, you know. But I got this one because it was almost all solid state, and I had all the tube cuts I already had. So I had the tube cuts, and I wanted the solid state cuts. So that's why I kept this box.
I like the MoFi. I'm going to stick with it. I mean, I picked it in the blind test, so I got
just dig in there, Steve. Just dig in. It's okay.
Okay.
Well, even Jason said if you want to, and you liked Ringo's drums. That's the first
thing
you told me. You literally texted me at midnight last night saying,
right.
I chose B because of Ringo's drums. I'm like going, okay, cool. You know, so Jason validated what you liked about it, you know?
Yeah, and I agree with that. And then, you know, because I've listened to some Stan Ricker's cuts for so many years as well, I sort of probably and my perception is that I sort of know the sound maybe too, you know. And I mean, we can talk more for the viewers that don't understand this, sort of that we talk about Smiley EQ. Can you explain to everyone what that really means in layman's terms?
Well, I mean, you have if you have an equalizer, which is something you raise and lower frequency levels, you know, different, you know, some are 32 bands, some are, you know, which is a quarter octave, third octave, I think, whatever. Most are like 10, 12 bands, and it separates the frequency spectrum into band, and there's like a Q factor of how wide or narrow the thing is. But a smiley face EQ would be where you cut the mids starting at about 1K, and then you put the 1K down maybe about -6 dB, and then 500 hertz at like, you know, -4, and then 2K at like -4, and you gradually go up, and then you make a little wing. It's like a gull wing, you know. You start here and you go down, you slope down, you make a little gull wing, you know, and that's, you know. But the smiley face would be just a complete, just a U, you know. But I think most people, when I did it, would be like a gull wing. But yeah, you cut the mids, you boost the highs, and you boost the lows.
And that's not something that Stan Ricker did on purpose. He was told to do that by the powers that be at Mobile Fidelity at the time.
So now, well, Vinyl Gourmet, mine, I checked, and my BC13 Beatles for Sale is not a Harry T. Moss cut. So I don't know if he actually etched Beatles for Sale. I don't think I've ever seen a Harry
let me read the comment, because a lot of people just listen and they want to know what's being said. So vinylgourmet.com says, love my mint BC13 UK box, HTM cuts, great sound. And what
HTM is Harry T. Moss.
There you go. Thank you. And were yours Harry T. Moss, or you don't know?
I think some of them have Harry T. Moss cuts on them, but my Beatles for Sale did not have Harry T. Moss, HTM, and the Dead Wax.
So Jason, if Jason took the poll, which one did you actually like the best then, is my question. And Mike Ingroove, if you took the poll, which one sounded the best to you? Now that we know the samples, but if you took the poll prior to the samples, I'd be very curious.
I don't think Jason committed to whichever one to what he voted for. I don't know if he voted or at all.
Darn it. Blind test, man. We got to do it. I wonder when Pepsi and Coke did those blind tests. I think it was Pepsi that started that. Did more people actually like Pepsi after that whole blind taste test back in the 80s?
I know, but I was in Dallas with my grandparents, and Mr. Pibb came out, and I did a blind test for Mr. Pibb and Dr. Pepper, and I remember.
And which one was better?
I chose Dr. Pepper because I was a Dr. Pepper kid.
Yeah. Here you go, Patrick. Jason again. BC13 box, PPM and WTP don't have HTM in the Dead Wax.
Yeah, well, my Beatles for Sale didn't have HTM in the Dead Wax either. So
here we go.
Look,
hey,
you got another MoFi buddy.
Oh, thank you. Hey,
you got a MoFi buddy.
Oh,
yay!
Thank you, Winston. There you go. And Russell S., what's he saying here? Jason, are you still trying to make OMM a thing? Is it catching on?
Old man Mazzy.
And then Jason, I've often wondered about why the HTM is missing on those ones. Does anyone know or haven't? I have no idea.
Well, I mean, a lot of times, sometimes mastering engineers either forget or they just didn't do it. Like Robert Ludwig, I remember I sent him an email once. He said, towards the end, I didn't even put my RL and a lot of shit. I just did the master thing. And George Marino never put his.
No, he never. Well, and that's the thing. Bernie Grunman, if you look back, I mean, he's had an illustrious career since the '60s. When he got involved with Classic Records back in the early '90s, it was Classic Records that told him to put BG in the dead wax. Prior to that, he never put BG in the dead wax in any of his stuff that he mastered. So when it's like Bernie remastered, I think Bernie was the original mastering engineer for the Doors, the original Doors albums that came out in '67, the self-titled. You don't see BG in the dead wax for those.
I know he did Joni Mitchell too. So
and you don't see the BG there. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's more of a later years type of thing. You didn't see that in the '60s and '70s that often, would you?
Yeah. Nope.
So I'm glad that I have at least one friend here in the community that likes my sample B. It makes me I can sleep well tonight. I'm gonna get trolled for that now, I think, but
it's okay. A couple of people said that like the 2012 was trash, not just bad, but trash.
I think if you went to the Steve Hoffman forums, and I have years ago, I think that they trashed that 2012 like up and down, like pages and pages of it. So here you go again, perceived bias. You didn't know which one, and are we at you said 60% or 58%? Like
somewhere around there, more than half.
Like the remaster 2012. There you go.
Yeah. More than half.
So are you when you saw that poll? Were you surprised by how many like the 2012 remaster?
I was surprised that not as many like the tube cut or the solid state cut. That shocked me. I'm actually shocked that anybody liked the MoFi, to be honest with you.
Come on, Patrick. Here, I missed the answers. I don't know if he means which samples were each, but again, I'll go over them. Sample A was a 2012 Abbey Road vinyl remastered box. Sample B was my favorite, was the MFSL 1982 box. Sample C was the BC UK 13 solid state box of No Reply. And then we compared it. We put the UK tube cut in there as sample D. So those and the one that came out on top currently is the 2012 remaster.
Like I said, I prefer the tube cut, so I'm also in the minority. So, but I wasn't shocked about the 2012 because it's got more bass, and I think people will gravitate to that.
I love Ringo's drums, Jason. The MoFi box set is fun. I know it's fun. It's great. And I mean, Darren's right too. And I think you and I talked about this, Patrick, at the top. Like, yeah, they trash digital. If they didn't know it was digital, I mean, we get more people trashing MoFi than ever before now that we know a lot of it's digital. But before we knew it was digital, no one was trashing MoFi. They basically were walking on water prior to July of last year, 2 years ago, whenever the news came out. Was it last year? Yeah.
Well, so July. I was never a huge MoFi guy in the first place. I mean, the stuff they did earlier in their career was definitely not my favorite. They definitely have gotten better, but I mean, I was not a huge fan of any of their earlier stuff, hardly at all.
Yeah. But, so Novus Nick, you like the BC 13 solid state. There you go. But I'm gonna have to go back now, Patrick. But it's gonna be hard knowing that I know the answers. I want to know what my second choice would have been, and I'm trying to think. Definitely my last choice is D. Would be the original UK tube cut for whatever reason. I didn't like it. It sounded really soft to me.
Yeah. So start thinking about what you want to do next then. So I mean, we can go further. We can go further with this if you want. We could go really, like I said, we can make it a thing. If viewers want to tune in for this fun stuff, we can do it. I think it's kind of fun. I like it being interactive as well. And I mean, it's not bad at all. I think we could do another Beatles. I mean, tell the folks. We could do the Van Halen box set.
Oh God, I don't know. I
have lots of that. I got I got DCCs. I've got Bellmans. I've got everybody.
BC 13's getting a lot of good compliments here. Reveille 69 likes it.
They sure as hell didn't vote for it.
And then Darren wants something from the White Album maybe next time.
Well, that's the one that gets like, you know, bitched about for the stereo box set. I have lots of White albums, man. I've got the UK White vinyl. I've got the German direct metal master. I've got 2 cuts, original UKs.
Yeah.
So I've got lots of freaking White albums, man.
Oh, I got another friend. He likes the MoFi too. Thank you. I'm not alone, Patrick.
You know, they say they like it, but they're not voting for it. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, you say you like it, but yeah, after the fact.
I went out there at the very beginning before. I didn't even know you gave me these files. I did not know, and you can just please tell the viewers you did not tell me the samples. I texted you at 12 last night saying, "Oh my God, I love sample B for my reasons," and you're like, "Oh God,"
and I laughed. I literally laughed out loud. And then, like I didn't tell you what the samples were.
I know.
Until 5 minutes before we went live.
That's true.
So, and Wyoming Dave can back me up on that. I did not say anything until 5 minutes before.
And Dave, thank you. Dave's our moderator behind the scenes. Thank you, Dave. And Dave actually, you told me right before we went on, 5 minutes before. So I was shocked, and I'm still shocked by it. So yeah, Helter Skelter, that would be interesting. Could do that one.
Nah, I wouldn't. I can't get excited for that.
No, why don't you like that song?
If I'm gonna have to listen to freaking like something from the White Album like 5, 6, 7 times, it ain't gonna be Helter Skelter.
I think Paul McCartney, in some of his interviews, he said that was probably the very first heavy quotations metal song that was ever produced by a band, and that was what, 68? I don't know if I believe that.
I would probably do Martha My Dear or something like that, because it has everything for me.
He's got everything, good vocals on it, really good acoustic guitar on that one. That could be an interesting one. Yeah, that'd be great. What's Revelry?
It's probably my favorite Beatles song.
So Revelry, I did not listen to them with I listened to them with my headphones. I didn't listen to it with my speakers because it was like midnight. Patrick sending me all these files. I got all excited. I was in bed, so I wasn't about to go downstairs to my gear and do it. Darren, Dear Prudence, something heavy and something soft, maybe. Some ideas.
So conversely, if you want to, I'm doing a current shootout of the Eagles, Hotel California. So on my channel, there is a live shootout, audio file challenge number 8, which is the Eagles Hotel.
Here's your channel, so if everyone knows, there it is. Yeah.
Not to self promote, since we are talking about shootouts. I do have and the UHQR is in the running for that one too, by the way. Oh no, no. UHQR, is it a one step? Sorry.
The one step, yeah.
One step, yeah. I get those confused sometimes.
I remember, this is all prior to DSD Gate, how excited I was about the Eagles coming out, and then of course I bought one of them since, and I have the Hotel California MoFi on SACD, which sounds really good as well. And that's another thing. Can I
coincidentally you're doing?
Well, coincidentally, this is a good segue. You're laughing. Yeah. You're like Steve. You're gonna open up a whole can of worms tomorrow. But here it is. Tomorrow, myself and my wingman Nathan Goss, we're doing an audiophile roundtable, 1 p.m. PST. Why you should own SACDs. So that'll be interesting. I'm gonna bring 5 of the ones that I think sound great. I already told you one today. That's Hotel California. Yes. I think it sounds really good. It really does. They really did well. It really did a good job on that one. I don't think Patrick would disagree with me there. Revelry thinks, do a Rubber Soul. He says I think the best is that early 80s stereo. So getting back to it, the better records, the hot stampers, a lot of them were the mid 80s stampers, the UK parlophones. Again, I've got a Rubber Soul 84, 85 parlophone, considered hot stamper, Rubber Soul, hot stamper, Help from the same era. And I've got the Revolver from the same era as well, and they sound really good. But again, perceived bias, because I know they're better records, they should sound good, right?
Are those on really thin vinyl, like really thin?
So they're all that stuff's like the 120 gram vinyl from years ago. Yeah, Patrick, you have compared the Elvis Memphis 80s MoFi with the Speaker's Corner Friday music.
I'm not a big Elvis. The only Elvis album I actually have is the DCC Elvis Hits, whatever, 21 hits. So that's the only Elvis album I actually own. Is that? Well, I might have one more. I think I got one more. I think I got an Analog Productions of something. So
Reveille 69. The UK 80s pressings is what he's saying, not the Capitol pressings.
Yeah, I've seen those because you can tell those. You can tell those because on the inner sleeves they have like they'll say like 784. On the inner sleeves, you can tell when they were cut the 785.
Yeah.
But I
Anyways,
just remember I remember the vinyl's like really thin, and like I said, they have longer matrix numbers, like with like -1 -1 -1 instead of like YEX -4 and the ends. They have like extra, and they're stamped differently. So
You'll have to look, but the ones that I have from Tom Port, better records, hot stampers, they're pretty decent, and those are the mid '80s UK parlophones.
it's kind of like those 81 UK mono solid state cuts that they redid. So since all of the monos were tube cut, the original UK monos were tube cut, and 81 they recut most of them with the solid state system.
So when Mobile Fidelity did the 82 box here, as you can see, I think they really wanted to copy the BC box, right, and include rarities, but they did not include rarities in the Mobile Fidelity box. But there is test pressings that people do own of rarities from Mobile Fidelity. I'm curious to know why they didn't add it. Is it maybe because they got the licensing for Magical Mystery Tour instead? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. We just don't know.
Does it really matter?
No.
Like we're talking about the most insane first world problems known to man tonight. So I mean, really, and really, does it really matter in the end? I don't know. What's the last?
Brother in Arms. Oh my God, boy! I'd rather do a shootout of like Love Over Gold or something.
I did a comparison of Brothers in Arms, the Mo-Fi versus the Abbey Road 45 RPM cut, and they're pretty similar. Darren, it's one of my first videos, so don't give me too much slack over that one, but it's not it's okay.
I have a shootout ready to go of the Dire Straits' first album, and
I love that album.
And I think the winner of that one is going to shock some people too. So the one I think is going to win. It probably won't win, but I mean, to me, it's not even a contest. But
well, the thing is, though, but you know which ones you're listening to. That's the only problem, because you're the one, you put those files together.
There's nothing I can do about that. But I mean, I'm just trying to project to what I think other people will like best. And so I'm like going, okay, I think for sure this one's going to win. And if it doesn't win, I'll be like, oh, damn, I was wrong again. So
I was going to say, so a lot of the times, I mean, you have the one that you like out of the four. A lot of the times, is it the same one that your shootout people like as well? Or are you actually surprised?
I'm pretty much not on the side of the majority on these shootout sounds either. No. I wasn't on the majority of this one, and I'm not on the majority.
And I respect what you're doing, and maybe that contrarian type of sort of sort of channel that you are, and you're bringing stuff that's you're not just going to go out and say, oh, UHQR is the best. I mean, you did the blind shootout, and you came and said, no, it's actually the Miles Shoal is the one that came out on top, just like today. And we had no idea, and I did not think for the life of me that the Beatles Remastered 2012 would come up on top in our pool. So I didn't pick it. I picked the Mo-Fi, as everyone knows. But are you actually shocked by it? I don't think you are. From our conversation all day, you haven't been shocked by all this.
No, I wasn't shocked. I mean, I was surprised at how big of a margin it was. Okay. I was surprised at that surprised me.
Hey, this would be good then, Patrick. If you guys get together, he'll do Reveille 69 can do some shootout files, and then you can be a participant. That would be awesome. You guys should do one. You guys should do a joint one where Patrick is the blind shootout recipient. That would be cool.
I get my own personal blind shootout.
That would be kind of fun, and really see which ones you like the most.
Yeah, it would be interesting but I mean, it would depend on the band. Like some bands I could tell immediately just because I've heard. I've listened to them so many times. It's I mean, I can tell the tube cut Beatles for Sale because I've heard it so many times. I know it backwards and forwards. And
so. How long have you owned some of this stuff for? Obviously, like how long have you owned the original tube cut stuff? Like your whole life? Like when did
I only started probably about 2009. I started going after. That's why when I started, getting into like, okay, tube cut versus stereo cut, I started getting a little bit more educated and stuff like that.
Yeah. So. See, when I first started, I mean, a lot of people know my story. They're probably sick of it already, but I was like 1985, 86. I started really buying vinyl for myself, and I didn't know much. I didn't have the internet, and so I want to show you guys this. This was my internet of Beatles. This was published in 1983, and this is the complete Beatles guide, U.S. record price guide. So any Beatles record I knew at the time would have come from this book. I didn't have the internet back in the mid 80s. So this is what I relied on when I'd go into these different record stores. So this is what it is. So I laugh at some of the prices. Like yesterday and today, the Second State butcher covers in here, it's going for on average $100 US. You know what I mean? Like it's just, so this is what I relied on. Kind of interesting. I saw something here, Jason, just so everyone knows, next Sunday, Miles' show will be on my show. And so that will be fun. He's also able to answer a lot of Beatles questions and some of the stuff that's going on with the next releases, Blue and Red album, maybe. Maybe that's the one. There you go. So I think what we'll do, we're going to leave it at that, but let the viewers know you're doing another stream later today. What are you doing today?
Oh, in an hour, I'm going to do top 5 Deep Purple out songs at we do a throwdown every Sunday where I have people come up on and we list our top 10 songs by an artist or whatever, and then we try to narrow it down to 5 and argue about it and talk about it.
It's fun. I watch now and then. It's good. It's a good time. He's thinking Pinball Wizard, maybe.
Sure.
I think the Who would be fine. That'd be fun. Let's do it. Tommy, let's get Revelry 1969.
Yeah, like the UK, the US, and the.
Well, you got to do. I have it here somewhere. Is it the John Astley one, or is it one that was mastered by or cut by Miles Schul? You had to put
talk about a guy that gets freaking bitched about John Astley. Boy, that guy. People bitch about him all the time. But
he's been around forever. I mean, the guy clearly knows what he's doing. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, maybe you guys can work that out. I could host that one. That'd be fun. We can host something like that.
My own personal shootout. Yeah, I'm game
for
anything.
How about we do that? Revelry 1969. Let's do our own. We should do that. I'll host that one. I want to know what
I'm scared.
I'm really
scared.
This will be fun. He's got about 5 different pressings, and Darren likes the half-speed Tommy. I don't mind the half-speed Tommy. I have an original Canadian half-speed Tommy that I've had listened to my whole life, and that is my go-to copy. I just like the way it sounds. So I do like the half-speed, but I still go back to the original just because I think I'm biased that way. But let's set that up, right? That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So tomorrow, as everyone, I'm gonna self-promote here, but this will be fun. 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Why you should own Moore's SA CDs and the reasons. I've got 5 reasons. I brought 5 SA CDs I'm going to show tomorrow. One of them, I've already given it away. It's Hotel California, the Mobile Fidelity. It's freaking amazing. It really is. And I'm sure Patrick will not disagree with me when he does his shooter to that one.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. We'll do it again.
Okay.
We're gonna do the Patrick shootout next time. That's what we're going to do.
Patrick, my personal shootout.
There you go. With Tommy.
Sweet.
All right. See ya.
Good night.
Bye.